Grandma's in trouble. She's hurt. Hey, oh! Holly looking to finish.
Holly, the preacher's daughter. Holm.
Welcome to UFC Unfiltered.
Please tell me that's on video. I've never been happier.
I'm made for a fucking podcast. That's dangerous. Listen to me, we're at it.
Welcome to UFC Unfiltered. We're just beginning now. You can see the light. This is very poetic. The light is shining on me now because the shades are lifted. We have the great Holly Holm appearing today. 41 years old, just signed, I believe, a 6-fight deal, which is just, it's a staggering show of faith by the UFC. I'm happy for her. It says so much about how great she is and has been. And also Chase DeMoor is a reality show. I forget the name of the show. He's a reality show star. He's very, very well known. Let me see here. The name, Too Hot to Handle is the show he was on. I would hate to be on that show and have to compete with a guy like him, a handsome guy with abs, and then me blinking with a weak chin. I'm in a good mood today, Matt. You know why?
Why? You're like a chatty Matty. I didn't even say hello yet. Hi.
Today on the Jim and Sam show in the morning, we had Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I thought of you. We interviewed the great Neil deGrasse Tyson again, and I got to interview Reggie Jackson. Now, you even though you're not a baseball fan, you know who Reggie Jackson is.
Yeah, oh, dude. Are you serious? The Regster? I don't know his nickname. No, but I heard of Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, the baseball player.
The old Coke commercials, right?
I don't know if he did Coke commercials.
Pepsi commercials. But either way, Reggie Jackson.
Baseball player.
Baseball legend of the Yankees.
Yes. Mr. October. Yeah, he even signed I have a picture with him from years ago. He even signed it Mr. October. What a great. Yeah, you get to, that's one thing about our job, Matt, that's fun. You get to interview people that you genuinely like, and then you get to interview people that you've loved your whole life. And that was one of those where Reggie was 45 minutes late for the interview because he was doing Stern. And I'm like, we'll stay. I don't give a fuck. Whenever he gets here, we ain't going nowhere. Reggie Jackson, I would wait for. What a fun job. You get to talk to people you genuinely love. Reggie has a documentary. I'm going to plug it on Amazon for any baseball fans. Talks a lot about race, a lot about what he went through. It's really, really great. And it's just called Reggie on Amazon Friday. He didn't ask me to plug that here. I'm just doing it because I love him. Anyway, I'm done yapping.
I never heard you talk so fondly about anybody besides maybe Ozzy Osbourne. So that's very interesting, Jimmy. You're not even a big sports guy. As
a kid, I was, though. I mean, there's certain guys I have that reverence for. He's one of them. Emmitt Smith, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson. There's a few guys I have like that real, like I would go anywhere to interview them, and whatever they wanted, however late they were, I'd just sit there and shut my fucking mouth and wait. I've been more than willing to say no to interviews before, but guys like that, you just always regard whatever it takes, you do.
Listen, man. I like hearing you enthusiastic, and I like that Reggie got you in a really good mood.
And he was, again, he's 76 years old. He was very mellow and very thoughtful in his answers. And I didn't know if he liked us. And at the end, he's like, yeah, next time we should do a longer interview. Like, I think he had a good time. So it was just great to, it's the perk of a job where you get to talk to people who you've loved your whole life. Like, you don't get that in very many jobs where they have to answer your questions and they have to engage with you. It's nice.
Man, now you're making me just want to get more people that I like on this show. I asked for some people on the show, and I don't think people listen to me.
Who would you love to interview? Who would you, as Matt Serra, whether it's an athlete or whatever, who would you like say, this is a person I've looked up to my whole life and has been a part of my psyche my whole life?
I don't think, who I really want on, but we're not going to get him? Norm Macdonald. That ship is bad.
Honestly, I would say it's not looking good.
He's dead. He died.
He is.
He was one of my favorites, though.
Love Norm Macdonald. Yeah,
are you friends with Nick Swartzen? Let's get more comics on.
I know Nick for many, many years. I love Nick Swartzen, and I'm sure he would come on. He's a good friend. He's a good dude.
I hung out with Nick before.
He's a great guy.
And I like him a lot. And Grandma's Boy might be
Yeah.
Quite possibly one of the most underrated movies. That's a movie that I believe even you will chuckle at. It's a fun stoner movie. Me and my wife were the only ones. We saw it on a date night when we were dating, and it was in and out of the theater so fucking fast that you wouldn't even believe. It was from a Happy Madison production.
I know.
Ever since then, I'm a Nick Swartzen fan. And then when I met him and hung out with him, I like him even more. You know,
Nick Swartzen, that grandma's boy, he used to do a bit over 20 years ago. And it was a bit that I loved because he would talk about just picking up a gallon of milk and how his grandmother just thought he was so strong. Nicholas. And she would just praise how tough he was. And I think that bit kind of came from that. The movie I believe, came from that bit. But that was my favorite Nick Swartzen bit. I just thought that was so funny the way he did his grandmother in that joke. It's weird the shit you remember. But yeah, I'm sure he can work on Nick Swartzen. He's a great dude.
Did you see a hand come in behind the screen like the thing? Look, I got a new cup of coffee.
No, but there is one coming in on mine too. I have somebody, I sent the girlfriend, I did this. I clap my hands and she knows that means go down to Starbucks. And if I do this and I do the third clap, that means I want a medium black cold brew with a straw.
Whatever happened to the clapper? The clapper.
I don't know.
Kids know what we're talking about. There used to be a thing you'd set up on your
clap on,
clap off, the clapper, and you'd walk in your house and go, and the lights would come on. Did you ever have that?
No, it was meant for old people, and so many comedians
you told
made
me you
fun
had
of
that
it.
many times.
I lied.
That was the clap.
No, I said I was sitting on the crapper.
I make a face like I taste something disgusting.
It was not a good one. Let's bring in the great Holly Holm. She's here. Sorry, Holly had to hear that shit joke if she's in the other room, in the waiting room. I hope she didn't hear that. It's embarrassing.
When is she fighting? When the hell is she fighting?
She is fighting Yana Santos, formerly Yana Kunitskaya. She's the co-main event for Sanhagen Marlon Vera, which was a great fucking fight. Every weekend there's good fights.
Is that this fucking weekend?
It's this Saturday.
Holy sugar. Let me look at these fights.
Hi, Holly.
How's it going?
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
It's been a minute, like the kids say. We haven't had you on forever, man. Good to see you.
Long time.
Your fight's in San Antonio. Matt was just asking where the fight was, and being lazy and stupid, I didn't realize. I thought it might be Vegas, but it's in San Antonio. You and kind of are the co-main event. Jesus Christ, I'm completely falling apart.
Yeah.
Yana Santos. I keep thinking of Kunitskaya. So how have you been?
I'm good. Just fight week, taking day by day, getting ready for Saturday.
You only fought once last year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Was that by choice, or were you hurt, or did you just want to take a break?
I definitely had some injuries I was taking care of, so I'm feeling good now. And I didn't want to get in there too soon without being ready. So
congratulations, by the way, on a 6-fight contract. Are you amazed at like 41 is no longer sounds like it's beyond the ability to fight at all in UFC, because there's been so many great fighters that go, again, Teixeira, DC, so many great fighters going into their 40s. So you have a decent amount of time left to fight.
yeah, actually, recovery is a little more. Sometimes injuries take a little longer, things like that. But really at 41, I think that a lot of people just show if you take care of your body that you can still go at 41.
Do you do that ice bath? Are you jumping in on that whole cold plunge thing?
I just started doing it a little bit. I used to not be able to do it. As I've learned that as long as it's like the set temperature at like 45 or 50, then I can do it. But when it's just, I don't know if it's the ice actually touching me, like actual old school ice baths. I don't know why, but I can't do them.
What if listen, everybody, this science and the health, everything always flip-flops. Jimmy, why you have
I'm looking for a cord behind my monitor.
That's disturbing.
Sorry. I'm looking for a cord.
Sorry, Holly.
Don't worry, I'm dressed.
My point is this. They're always flaws. Something's good for you, it's bad for you. What if all these what if all these people are jumping and freezing every morning, and they find out in a year from now that this shit actually takes away from your life? It feels like you're dying. So I don't know. I don't like when I have to wait for my shower to get warm, Holly.
Oh, me too. I don't like that either. But I'll tell you what, I'm not one of those that like overly does it. I just started. I can finally do baths, and I just do 5 minutes. I've done 10 minutes a couple of times, but I usually just do 5 minutes. And the most I really feel like immediately or as I'm training, I do feel like just maybe inflammation in my knees and stuff like that from being on a train. It kind of helps with that.
Dana, Dana does it now. Because I was just looking for a fight. And Dana, I'm asking, he looks good, Ever since he had that fucking...
He looks great. Lost a lot of weight.
That shitty fortune cookie that said he's going to die in 10 years. Ever since he had that fucking Final Destination, Dana, ever since he got that, he's on like a health kick. The dude's not drinking. He's doing this thing called 10X, which I don't know what the hell that is still. And he's doing those cold plunges. And he's telling me that what kills us eventually is the inflammation of our body. And that's what it does. It takes away the inflammation. So maybe there's something to it.
Well, does it? I did cryotherapy. I just did 3 times, and it makes your leg feel like it's being squeezed. Like it really hurts your bones after a couple of minutes. How long do you feel like, hey, this helps me? Like if you're training and you said it knocks down inflammation, is it just because it was cold, so it's for a couple of hours, or will you feel it into the next day like, hey, there's an improvement here?
I think that if I show up to training with less inflammation, that I mean, through the week, so you get some inflammation on a certain day, and then like you show up the next day and you're still kind of feeling it in your joints, and then it kind of keeps like getting more and more and more throughout the week. By the end of the week, your body's already hurting anyway. I don't even care how old you are. If you're 20 and you're training hard every day all week, your body's still going to be sore on the weekend. So I feel like it just helps maybe just in between trainings to kind of help you kind of just give that extra boost and take a little inflammation out to kind of keep going. I'm not one of those that's like, this is a miracle thing, but I do feel like it helps a little bit. But like I said, I'll do anything that helps even a little bit, even like Epsom salt baths. A lot of people say, do those really help you? I do kind of feel better after I get out of them. Even if it's 1%, I'll take it. I'll do anything to help, feel good to train hard.
What do they do, the Epsom salts?
Oh, I just do Epsom salt bath at home.
What do they do for you that helps you?
Oh, there's like minerals and things in it. It's supposed to help with inflammation in the body and things like that. But there's a lot of minerals, they say. I mean, if you really look up like the benefits of Epsom salt, there's actually quite a bit. Some say it can even like help balance some of your minerals for like your mood and things like that. I don't really know all the scientific stuff, but there's things that show that it's helpful. And like I said, it's not a miracle worker, but I do feel a little better after I Epsom salt bath.
Now, Holly, fight week, you got to do stuff to keep your mind either off the fight or just get through your weight cut and all this and all that. What do you do? Are you reading books? Are you watching any new series? Are you streaming anything? Talk to us.
I kind of just watch random stuff. I mean, it kind of just depends. Sometimes I just play Candy Crush on my phone if I'm just sitting in my room. Or
I like the Candy Crush.
I know I don't know, that game's kind of stuck around with me. So I'll still play that sometimes if I'm just trying to kind of keep my mind busy. But like when I was in Abu Dhabi, I had so much time out there because we were in lockdown. Yeah. I started watching like an older series, but I started watching Prison Break, and I kind of got stuck on that. It's a series.
Yeah, I remember that back in the day. Yeah.
I watched that just 2 years ago. I had never heard of it, and I kind of got stuck on that. So I was watching that. I don't know. It kind of just depends. Sometimes I'll watch a movie, whether it be, I don't really like to watch any, like, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter sometimes I'm in a different mood. It's like, I just want to watch some reruns of Friends, or maybe I'm going to watch like The Gladiator. I don't know. It all depends.
Yeah. Comedies. Do you like comedies? Jimmy, he's a comedian, but he dislikes comedies.
I don't dislike them. I typically don't laugh at them, but a great comedy I love as much as, but I don't watch a lot of them.
Okay, well, what's your favorite comedy then?
A couple of them. Something About Mary I thought was a masterpiece. Airplane is hilarious. A movie from the late 70s called Used Cars is very funny.
Do you like kind of like slapstick comedy, I guess, or kind of?
No, I like meaner. Like I didn't see Mall Cop, but I love Observe and Report with Ray Liotta. Like that's a mean comedy. I tend to like meaner comedies, but I do like a good comedy.
I have a question. A lot of people thought this was dark, but I thought it was comedy. Have you ever seen what's it called? It's with Jennifer Aniston, and good girl.
I've never. Is it a rom-com?
No, well, no, it's kind of dark humor, I guess.
Hey, good girl. Oh, no,
Depressing.
that's Gone Girl. Sorry, I was looking at the Ben fucking Affleck.
Yeah, no, Holly, I've never seen it. I don't even know if I've ever heard of it. I can't think of a Jennifer Aniston movie I've seen. Like I've seen bits and pieces of some of her stuff, but I've never actually sat and watched the whole one.
Okay, well,
You love it? You love it?
I think it's my favorite comedy. I'm just saying, a lot of people saw it as like really dark and like sad, but I thought it was funny.
All right. Well, now hold on. Maybe it was a dark comedy, or maybe you just really laugh at sad things. Either way, it's a
Everybody thought it was dark and sad, and Holly's sitting there eating popcorn, laughing.
yeah. Everyone's crying, and she's in the back clapping and laughing. Hold on.
That's great.
Hold on. I'm looking it up right now. What's it
I
called?
want to know, man. I
Good
like
Girl.
to know a new
Good
movie.
Girl. Okay.
Or The Good Girl, I don't know. One of the other.
Is it
Producer
called?
should be jumping
Yeah,
on
it
top.
says drama. The Good Girl. Jennifer Aniston, Deborah Rush. Yeah, it is listed as kind of a drama and a comedy. So you're right. It is probably a darker comedy.
I'm not saying it's my favorite movie. I've only seen it once, and I don't rewatch it. So I'm not sitting here saying go watch it, but I was just curious.
Are you a laugh out loud person during a movie, or you just kind of nod and go, "That was funny"?
It depends. I've laughed out loud sometimes, but it depends on the movie. And if I'm already laughing and then it keeps then it will probably come out loud, I guess.
Do you like horror movies?
It depends. I'm not really into like the ghosts and like this, the spirits and stuff like that, but I'm like in the like Chainsaw Massacre where they like cut people up.
Okay, I recommend this movie. Now, I don't know if you'd like it, but it terrified me. I can't even watch bits and pieces of it. Did you see Hereditary?
Never saw.
Oh, awful. Like a good, horrible, scary, terrifying movie. Yeah, it really bothers me, like on a visceral level. So if you like horror movies, I would recommend Hereditary.
All right.
Well, I don't think I want to see it. I like fun movies. Hey, listen. Hey, did you see? Hey, let me ask you. Grasso's upset over Valentina. I know you had to watch that.
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think?
It's one of those things like I fought Valentina. So, of course, if she ever lost, I want to be the one to give her the loss, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's just a natural way that a fighter would feel, right? But honestly, I think that Shevchenko just she's one of those that's so technical that a lot of people saw her as being unbeatable. She's one of those that she definitely waits. She's more of a counter puncher. She waits for, her opponents to make a mistake. And I think Alexa just stuck with her focus and stayed on her. And she actually landed some good shots in there as well. It wasn't just the finish. It's not like Alexa just got this like lucky kind of finish. I feel like Alexa could have won round 1 and then Shevchenko 2 and 3. Because she just did a little more control and took her down, stuff like that. She had her in the crucifix, which most people would have been finished, but Alexa got out. And, so I think I'm happy for Alexa. I am. I definitely think it warrants a rematch, from coming from Shevchenko, who's been, so dominant for so long. I almost feel like Shevchenko's game has almost been like above everyone else's for so long, and a lot of these other girls are getting better, so it's getting kind of a more narrow kind of space there. I think that sometimes one person can kind of show that someone's not invincible. And that being said, I think Shevchenko is disciplined enough to come back, and we'll see what happens in the rematch.
You're right. She's looked so good and so technical for so long. People do think, wow, she's just no one's going to beat her until she retires. And Amanda felt that way for a while. Amanda felt like she was on this roll and no one was going to stop her until somebody stopped her, and then she comes back and wins again. So it'll be very interesting to see what Valentina does in this next fight.
I definitely think that Valentina has the skill level to be able to get it back, but I still don't put anything past Alexa. Alexa might be able to do it again. I think I figured this would be Shevchenko's toughest. I thought the toughest hit, just because I felt like Alexa I felt like she didn't let it get to her head. I think she came in pretty focused and, didn't let all the height get to her. And I think that's why she wound up walking away with this victory. But with that being said, I mean, Shevchenko's been a champion for so long for a reason. So I can see her still being able to come back and retain her belt as well.
It shakes things up too. It makes things exciting.
Yeah.
You know? And you're looking at that and you're like, yo, I am so in the mix. Because Holly Holm, you match up well with pretty much everybody. You're very well rounded. You know what I mean? You're like, you seem ageless. It's not like you're getting slow. You got that footwork. You can move around forever. I mean, where am I going with this? But no. Oh, so when you see it change hands like this, you get excited like, yo, I could take her. Like, I don't know, like that. But yes, I mean, you have to feel like that.
I feel that with everyone that I watch, actually. I know that I'm capable, and I know I've evolved as a mixed martial artist. You know, when I started for my first fights, it was like, oof, I hope I don't go to the ground at all. And all I worked on was get-ups, you know, but I didn't come to MMA to just box in a cage. I came to MMA I wanted to learn all the other things too. I wanted to be able to get takedowns. I wanted to learn the ground game. I wanted to learn submissions. I want to, learn the clinch. I want to learn wrestling. So I do think that I have evolved a lot. And I think a lot of the fighters have, though. You see them, some of these fighters have been sticking around, and you see there's some that are still, ranked that were when I first started, but a lot of them have kind of circulated out. Some are retired. And so I don't know. I take one fight at a time, because at this level and in this organization, any fight can be the best fight. So I'm just, your biggest opponent is only the one that's right in front of you. So, but I think that I'm capable of beating all these girls, honestly.
And I was just going to say, Jimmy, because you said you came in obviously with your boxing background and what you accomplished in there. And you're like, well, at first I was like, oh, I hope I just don't go to the ground. I got to work to get back up. And then you went on to get a huge upset, one of the biggest at the time, because you fought arguably one of the best female grapplers there is in Ronda Rousey. And she looked
unstoppable
at the time. After, now since then, people seen her lose to Amanda, and people will maybe, not look at her in the same light. But let's remember when you did that. You did that when they're talking about her shooting Roadhouse and doing this and beating up guys and just all this, you know what I mean? Like, she was on that untouchable level. And then you went in there, and that wasn't like it was just a lucky Hail Mary head kick. That was just a beautifully fought fight. Beautifully fought fight. It's kind of like a tongue twister. But you know what? Talk about a long way, man. Afraid to be going to the floor to taking one of the best grapplers out. What an accomplishment.
Yeah, and I'm still learning. I still got more to show.
When it's all said and done, like, look, you just signed 6 fights. We're hanging out with you for a while, which I like. We get to watch you fight for a while. But listen, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now, whenever you're done, what do you think's gonna happen? You think you're gonna? I could see you staying around the sport, teaching. Would you ever want to be an instructor, or do you think you're just gonna walk away and say, what are your plans for after, if you have any?
I don't really have anything set, but I definitely would love to be involved with the sport. I mean, how do you be in this sport and then just walk away? I'd love to be behind the mic. I'd love to be, I'd like to coach, but not have my own gym.
Yeah.
Why not your own gym?
I see how much our coaches go through. There's so much. And all these fighters come in, they got nothing to pay, nothing to offer until you put all the time into them. And then they start, once they make it, it's like there's a small window to even really capitalize on it. And then you're gone on the weekends and, late nights, early morning. They do a lot. And I would love to be involved, but I don't think I would start my own gym. I would just be involved with the gym that I'm already in and just kind of, there.
That's good.
Be a coach, and you don't want your whole life to be poured into it.
Oh man, I don't know. Sometimes I don't think people realize how much coaches go through. It's a lot. A good coach, I'll say that. A good coach.
Well, because people see them coaching champions or the main event fighters, or they forget that, like, now you still have to travel to coach somebody on the undercard, even when you don't have anybody on the main card fighting. Second fight up on the prelims, you still have to be there. You still have to travel. There is a lot that goes into it that you're right, people just don't think about.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then there's fights that go over, and then sometimes they get canceled and they got to fly back home. There's weight cuts they got to go to. They're just, every fight week's pretty much the same. It's and it's exciting to be part of it and to be there and to be part of a victory that they help coach you to and things like that. But I don't think a lot of people see, I've been with the same coach since I was amateur. I mean, he was driving his own car with his own gas going up to, amateur fights. So that's putting money out, not making money, putting money out. A lot of people don't see those. And no, he's not doing that anymore because of, where the whole gym is at this point. But there's a lot of time and a lot of sacrifice from, to build a fighter up to become a champion. So, it's always easy to work with a fighter that's already knowledgeable. It's easy to work with a well-oiled machine, but to help create champions from the ground up is really hard. So, it's a lot of dedication.
Do you think you'd be a good coach? Are you patient enough, or what do you think is a quality you need to be a really successful coach? Besides obviously knowing the fighting game.
I think I'd be a good coach. I understand the emotions of it. I understand the pressure of it. I understand the hard training of it. So I think that I could relate a lot of that. I've learned a lot from my experience, and I think that I could pass on what I've learned. I think, the type of coach I'd probably be kind of a no bullshit coach, because that's how my head coach is. And I think that's been good for me. I don't want someone telling me I'm doing all right when I'm not. I don't want to yell. I want someone telling me what I'm doing that I could fix to be better, because that's the only way to actually, be the best fighter you can be. If I was fighting, yes, I would want a good camaraderie, but I would be there with victory as my goal.
That's funny. Oh, sorry. So that's kind of what I was going to ask you is what is something that you respond to or don't respond to that you like? Your coach has to know your personality too. Like, even when I played sports as a kid, some guys respond very well to being yelled at and screamed at. Like, I don't respond well to that at all. I hate it, and it shuts me down. What don't you respond well to?
There's like a motivational, voice raised, things like that. And I think that, certain coaches have to have that. Like my wrestling coach, Israel Martinez, he can be very motivational in how he talks, and it's not like he's necessarily kissing your ass, but he's also not, trying to break your spirit either. I think there's a fine line there. I don't want a cheerleader that's constantly, and you're doing great. I don't need a cheerleader, but I also don't want someone that's trying to break my spirit when I'm in the middle of camp, there's the good old constructive criticism that's always going to be good, but out of, hey, these are the things that I saw you, these are some habits that you've had. I saw you doing these again in training, and it's like, it sucks to hear it, but it's like, I need to hear it, or else I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to fix it. So, I'm fine with the no bullshit, as long as it's coming from a good place. If it's just yelling, it's like, if you're just yelling, no, I don't like that.
Yeah, some guys respond to that too, which I've always been amazed at. I always find it embarrassing. Like, I'd be so embarrassed if somebody was just yelling at me in front of everybody that I wouldn't be able to take their instructions.
Only if you need it, though. Like with fucking Leon Edwards' corner. Come on,
yes,
get your head out of your ass. No, they didn't say that, but they had the accent. They were yelling some shit. It was funny as hell.
Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Yeah,
I love the accent with that. It was great.
I don't mind that at all.
No.
Especially in a fight. I think that makes a difference. In practice, you can have a little bit of that too, maybe talk after, stuff like that. But when you're in a fight and it matters at that moment, and they need to kind of shake you and get your attention, sometimes that's needed.
Yeah, that to me is different too, because that's the going into a fifth round of a championship fight that you are clearly losing and clearly not fighting up to your potential. Like, because Leon Edwards, again, maybe altitude, but is such a better fighter than he was for 3 of those rounds, even though Kamaru was great. So I think his coach was just doing anything to wake him up and snap him out of it, and it worked. And again, like yourself, a beautiful head kick to take the belt.
Yeah, it's just sometimes you need that. I remember one fight, one of our teammates, this was a long time ago, but he was just, it was like he was sparring in there. He wasn't really like fighting. He wasn't putting it on there. My coach got so mad, Mike Winklejohn. And he goes, "You aren't even working hard enough for water. I'm not even going to give you any in between the rounds." So he didn't even give him any water. He's like, "You can't even be thirsty. You're not even working. Go out there and I think he either kind of slapped him, whatever. And then he went out and then knocked him out with the next punch. It's like,
He was thirsty.
yeah. So, sometimes you do. And each fighter is different and your team should know you. So the last thing I want though, is if I'm losing, for my team to be telling me I'm doing all right.
Right.
That's not.
That frustrates the hell out of me. When I see order and it's obvious the fight is losing, and they're like, "All right, just do a little of this." It's like, yo, no more of that. Now that's not you need a drill sergeant. You don't need a cheerleader. You need somebody saying, "Dude, you're blowing it. You got 5 minutes left." Like I hate when people get adamant about how important it is to win that last 5 minutes or make something happen, or you're just done. They just don't. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like you're not stressing that this dude is behind. I can never understand that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like crazy. Like you need this round. You got to win this. It's simple. Yeah.
I like when you'll see them once in a while, and again, they have different methods of delivering it. It's like, hey, look, they might have given him that round, so it might be 1-1 right now. Like, but they're basically telling him, look, saying he might have that round is the same as saying you lost that round. You can't count on having that one under your belt, so you have to go out and win, because it doesn't serve the fighter to lie.
For sure.
Have you had times too, like I'm always interested in people's mental state when they go in, and fighters have always said that they've had moments where they were disconnected. Have you had that in a fight where your mind just went where it shouldn't have been, or you weren't as focused, and how do you get it back?
It's hard. Sometimes you're sitting there telling yourself to throw punches and you're just not, and you hit a wall and it's just, your mind's just not in touch with your body. And then there's times where everything flows and you're seeing things like it's in slow motion, and you can like pick, you feel like you're in the Matrix. Sometimes things are just on and sometimes your mind it's just all over the place. And I do think that it's really hard to snap out of it sometimes. And you got to be able to let go of round one and not let, oh my gosh, round one, I lost round one, or, you need to be able to be in the moment each round. And that's very hard to do sometimes.
Have you ever, I always wonder when somebody, like I thought of this with Adesanya and Pereira, like when a guy is beating you twice and then he's doing something to you the third time, is there that part of you just from human nature that goes, fuck, I can't beat or fuck, it's happening? Have you had that at all where it was somebody you had a doubt about or you didn't have confidence with and they won a round or they had a moment where it kind of shook your confidence?
I think sometimes, I always feel like if I get in there, I always feel, well, I think I can win, because otherwise, if I don't think I can win, then I'm not going to win, because I'm the one who has to do it. So I always walk in with that mentality, like, yeah, I'm going to win. But there are times that you'll be in the fight and you have this plan and they say they're countering your plan and you're like, shit, I just can't get to them. And then I start to feel like, man, I'm going to run out of time before I actually like get their timing or actually, get on them. I feel like I'm going to run out of time. And so sometimes then you can feel pressure, and that doesn't make you perform any better thinking like that. You just need to be, minute by minute, second by second. A lot of times you can even have a good start to the round and people forget about that by the time, minutes 4 and 5 come around. So you can't get too comfortable at any moment.
Holly, let me ask you really quick. I know about your boxing background. Did you do kickboxing also or no?
So my whole career I had 9 amateur fights and they were all kickboxing. And then I think 1 or 2 of them were DeMoor. And I guess after that, my first pro fight was my first boxing fight. So
how many boxing matches did you have?
My like 38 boxing matches.
This is what I'm talking about. So wait, so you had kickboxing before you did boxing?
So all my kickboxing, and I only had 3 kickboxing pro fights. So I just couldn't find any fights in kickboxing. So we just couldn't get any girls to take the fights. And then Lenny, who's my manager now, he's a promoter, and he was having, well, we got a fight for you, but it's going to be boxing and it's going to be pro. And I thought, well, I never fought boxing before, and it was my first pro fight, but I just went for it. Actually, when I did kickboxing, I used to kick more than I punched. My boxing actually was really not that good. And then boxing just was open, and I grew a love for it. And so my boxing career kind of took off. I did have 3 pro kickboxing fights in there, but when I started MMA, I definitely was not new to kickboxing. Kickboxing, like even in between my boxing fights, because I trained out of Jackson Wink the whole time. So my boxing fights, I would spar kickboxing for fun until my next fight was scheduled, which I fought 4 times a year. So I didn't have a lot of times that I got to kickbox, but it was still there. And I thought, when I came to MMA, I thought, I want these girls to worry about my boxing because I'm going to kick them, and then that happened. I'm going to make them worry about my wrestling now, or I'm going to make them worry about, I want to have a well-rounded game for sure.
That philosophy got you a championship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Holly, thank you so much. Yana Santos, formerly Kunitskaya, this co-main event this Saturday night in San Antonio. It's a great card, and congrats on the 6-fight deal. That's fantastic, and I'm glad you'll be around for quite a few years ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you all for your time.
Yeah, great talking to you. Have a great fight.
Take care, Holly.
Yeah, and our next guest, time went very quickly. I felt like we were talking to her for 10 minutes. We were at least a half hour, maybe more.
Yeah, Jimmy, we like to talk.
Chase DeMoor is our guest, and he's here.
He's a social media influencer, and he also, he had some fights.
Yes.
Right, did he have?
And he looks like he trains. I mean, when you look at him, he's in like a fighter's type shape. Yeah.
Jimmy, didn't you try out for that show Too Hot to Handle?
I did, yes.
Who was on that?
No, but no. I was too fat to fuck. That was the show that I tried out for.
You're not, Jimmy. You're not too fat.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. I'd side blubber. Yeah. I was very unhappy with myself.
Chase DeMoor, man. Influencer, boxer. Is that one thing, influencer, boxer, or is it influencer and boxer?
I'm guessing once you've done like a reality show called Too Hot to Handle, reality show people tend to have a life where they can go out and do a few different things, or you're always up for possibly doing another show or something that sparks with somebody from that show and you get a spin-off. There's always a possibility. You wonder if he's going to pursue influencer boxing circle is what he's kind of he's a part of.
Jace, are you driving? Because this might be dangerous.
I'm not driving. I'm parked. I'm not outside my gym.
Oh, what is it? Your boxing gym?
Yeah.
Weightlifting.
Boxing gym.
Nice to meet you, Chase.
Nice to meet you as well.
You were a football player, correct? And then you got onto this reality show Too Hot to Handle. Is that right?
Yeah, man. So it was crazy. Just like posting content on TikTok. I did like a lot of like sports related content. And, somebody at Netflix had found me. They're like, you got a good look. You got a good personality. Would you be interested in doing this new show that we can't tell you anything about? They changed the name of it. It was called Parties in Paradise because they obviously weren't going to tell us it was too hot to handle. And they're like, would you be interested in, just trusting us, going through this process, getting through all these meetings and stuff and take some photos of you in a bathing suit and see if we like you enough to put you on this show.
That's something Jimmy never heard in his life about. Jimmy, imagine, would you think if something was up if they wanted to take you out and put you in a bathing suit and put you on a show called Partying in Paradise? I
would think that the show is about them hunting a human sacrifice and I was the person they were going to kill on the island. I wouldn't trust them. Yeah. Now, Chase, did you put your trust in them by saying yes and signing the deal you did? And was it what you wanted? And were you like, hey, I'm glad I put my trust in these guys because they were good?
Yeah, man. Like I've always played sports my whole life. I never really watched reality shows, let alone dating shows at that. And so, when they reached out initially, I was very skeptical. I actually ignored them the first, 2 times. And they reached out a third time. They're like, this is our last ditch effort. We really hope that you consider this. I was like, you know what do I have to lose? I hopped on a Zoom with them and, literally like 10 minutes later, she calls me back. She's like, yeah, they already love you. They want to send you up to, my boss. And throughout the process, you meet with this next person. And, I thought it was a joke the entire time. In fact, I was at a bar the night that they booked my flight, to the point where, they send the car to your house to pick you up to take you to the airport. I get a phone call and she's like, the chauffeur's at your house and, they said nobody's home. And I was like, oh, that was for real? They're like, yeah, you have a flight in literally 3 hours to Turks and Caicos. We need you ready to go like now. And so I literally left the bar, went through a bunch of, shorts and swim trunks in my backpack, got in the Uber and got taken all the way straight to the airport.
So you really, maybe that's why you do well, because it wasn't your whole life. It was just something that you're doing. You're like, all right, I'll do this. And maybe it comes off more genuine like that, where it's not something that you're obsessed with doing.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing about it, is they want like fresh faces and they want people that have never done TV before, because they want you to be like your true authentic self. And I think that, that's why I was so successful on like a lot of these dating shows I've done, is because, I have like, the sports background and hard coaching and all this and that. And I have no idea about, romance and these dating shows. So I just go on there and I just have, like my guy humor or like my dry humor, whatever you want to call it. And, I go on these things to the point where, I got on this airplane, I'm flying to this island. As soon as I get off the island, they seize my phone, my laptop, my watch, they blindfold me, they stick me in the back of a car. I'm sitting there thinking like, bro, like the last person I listened to was Ed Sheeran. Like I'm getting abducted and the last person I heard was Ed Sheeran. Is crazy.
Yeah, it's like a cartel kidnapping. As soon as you get off, they grab you. And what position did you play in football?
I was a defensive end, and I was playing in the USFL last year. I'm still, a free agent right now. I've been talking with some teams trying to get back in one of these leagues, but, my whole life just playing defensive end.
Do you like boxing more or do you like football more? Sorry, man, I know you're in this question.
I would say, like football is definitely a team sport. I love football. I think that, I got a lot out of football, but, I played football for 20 years, you know what I mean? So I think, switching professions, going into boxing is like a different thrill, man. Like I've never been overwhelmed with so many different emotions at one point than in any combat sport, and I think that boxing was one of those things that kind of landed on my plate. I was very fortunate. I was just sitting at a restaurant one day with my friends in San Diego. I get a call saying like, hey, do you want to fight on pay-per-view next month? And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't know anything about throwing a punch. I don't know anything about defense, but you know what? I know a lot about entertaining people on TV. So sign me up.
That's wild though. You never did any boxing training when you did
Not
that.
a single bit. The only combat, like anything I've ever done, is like I did 1 year of high school wrestling. I was just at a Mayweather boxing gym, hitting the bag, learning how to throw a punch.
And
So
then I'm sorry, Jimmy, you had to fight a month from that?
Yeah, so basically I got hit up, June 28th. They're like, hey, would you be willing to fight Le'Veon Bell, July 30th? I said, yeah. They're like, okay, well, we also need you to drop 40 pounds. I was like, done.
Now, how did that fight go? And I didn't see that fight. I saw, I believe, your second fight versus Southpaw.
Okay.
So how did that work?
So the first fight, it was my first fight ever. So Le'Veon Bell actually got a new opponent, and they paired me with a guy that's also never boxed named Corey Wharton. He's another TV guy. And, I trained for him. The fight got postponed a little bit, so I got a couple more weeks of fight camp. So I learned how to, box a little bit better. And, we fought, I think it was 3 2-minute rounds, something super quick. And so I went in there. I was a lot bigger than him, had better reach on him. So I kind of essentially went in there and just beat him up a bit. And I was like, you know what? I might be him in sports. I thought I was that guy. And so I get a phone call, and they're like, hey, do you want to fight again next month against, this guy that nobody wants to fight who has this extensive fight background? I was like, heck yeah, sign me up. You know what? I beat up my first guy. This guy has, 19 years of fight experience. Sign me up for my second fight. And that's how the Southpaw, Josh Bruckner landed.
What's interesting is I like the thing with that, the dating show, they're like, just trust us. And you're like, all right, hey, you want to fight? Sure. This confidence and this ability to take chances. There's a real risk-taking mentality there. Like you're just willing to see if it happens. And if you look bad, you look bad. Where does that come from? Is that something you've always had, or did you develop that through playing football or your family?
Yeah, my dad was big on, you never, he used to tell me all the time, you ever see a good fight, you get in it. And he means that in life, he means that in general. You'd say, you don't ever run, you don't retreat from anything. And I've always been somebody that likes to compete. I like to challenge myself. And I think that, confidence is the prerequisite to success. I listen to, I grew up in the generation of the Legion of Boom, Richard Sherman and all those guys used to talk about, you just got to be confident and believe in yourself before you can get other people to believe in you. And I think that, having an athletic background, it makes me want to just work harder at other things. And I think that, nobody wants to step in a boxing ring. Nobody ever wants to try themselves on that aspect. So for me, I'm like, at the end of this thing, it's going to be a hell of a story to tell. I think, regardless of whatever the challenge is, just being there, experiencing it and have something to tell, when I'm, 20, 30 years older, I had the stones to do that. It's always been my mindset.
Now, you're still a young guy at 26. Did you ever think of trying your hand at some MMA? I mean, you
Yes.
do have a slight wrestling background. You were tackling people on a football field. Why not tackle somebody in a cage?
Yeah, Greg Hardy did pretty well as heavyweight.
Oh yeah, you know what? It's funny. So I actually turned 26 in June this year. So I'm starting to get up there now. No, I'm just kidding. For me, I did 1 year of high school wrestling. The only reason I did high school wrestling I only did 1 year of it was because I took it all the way. I won first at regionals, first at districts. I got a state medal. I did everything in that sport, and I was like, you know what, this was easy. Went back to basketball, was doing my thing there, and earlier this year I told myself, with the announcement of the Pro Fighters League and all that other stuff with MMA, like, if they do like some sort of celebrity MMA or anything like that, I would definitely do it. I think MMA is super cool. I don't have an extensive, martial arts background, but, my dad, my grandfather, they were black belts in Taekwondo. It's something I kind of grew up around, wrestling background. And then now, with striking, with boxing, it's definitely something that, if I got the opportunity to do it, 100%, I would do it.
Are you a fan? Do you watch MMA?
Oh man, I watched it before boxing. I grew up in the Conor McGregor. I saw Chuck Liddell back in the day. Actually, a funny story is my boxing match that I'm having next month, I was actually meant to box Tito Ortiz.
Wow,
Tito Ortiz?
That's a big target. That's awesome. Now, what happened with that?
Something, speaking with Misfits Boxing, I had signed the contract. I said, I'm good to go. I was on board with it, before they even said, are you sure you want to do this? 100% I was in to fight Tito Ortiz. And, he agreed to it. We were meant to fight. And then something happened where he ended up having to back out of the fight. And so I got placed with this other guy, but, I was 100% on board. I don't know what happened on his end, but, I was ready to go beat up on a UFC Hall of Famer.
Didn't he just fight Anderson Silva and lose a boxing match to Anderson?
Yeah, in 45 seconds.
But Tito is a tough guy, though. I mean, Tito fought into his 40s. Tito is a very, very tough dude. Even though he's not a pure boxer, I think that'd be an interesting challenge. If you can beat him, because he's not an easy guy to beat. He can take a punch. I mean, he's Anderson Silva. He's not, he's a veteran.
I think
Right.
Tito is old enough to be Chase's daddy, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he definitely is. My mom is 46. Tito's 48. I was looking at all these factors. I got an 84-inch reach. I could condition myself, and I would hide the jab behind him because Tito's a wrestling guy. He's a grappling guy. Yes, he can take a punch, but that in a short boxing match, it's the art of hit and not getting hit. So I just touch him up a couple times, dance around him, and if I get a win against, UFC Hall of Famer like Tito Ortiz, mad respect to him, but, not a lot of guys can say they beat up Tito Ortiz.
So 84-inch reach, by the way, that's I think John Jones, 84.5, I think. That's like a John Jones level reach. That's massive.
Yeah, man, I'm 6'5", 240. I'm like 4% body fat. I got a very good athletic build. I'm very thankful for it. I think that's why I get away with a lot of the things that I do. My second boxing match, it's not my most proud moment, only just because a lot of you people who do combat sports can understand that, finding your conditioning level, your pace to fight in fights is very important, no matter how athletic you are. And I think that, for me, I went out there and I gassed myself out really early when I should have paced myself a little bit more. So, that's something, this last fight camp, I've really, really been, focused and dialed in on, and, the technique and how to pace myself in these fights.
Well, Chase, are you promoting anything we want to make sure we promote what you called in to promote? Is there anything besides your social media, which, you certainly don't need our help. It's Chase DeMoor. It's DEMOOR on Twitter and on Instagram. But is there any project in particular that you were pushing today?
Yeah, I'm pushing, Misfits 006. We're fighting in Louisiana next month, April 21st. It's a big card. The headline for that is JMX versus Le'Veon Bell. I'm one of the undercards on that. So it's going to be my third boxing match. I hope to see, a lot of people there. Hope to have like a lot of support. It's something I've been pushing really hard for. So.
And you eventually be fighting Tito Ortiz. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out. If you want to see Chase before he fights Tito, then at least maybe you'll, you get an idea of which way to bet. You know what I mean? If you want to watch this to get an idea which way to gamble on that fight. Thanks for coming on, man. I'm glad you fixed the connection because now it was perfectly clear. It was good to talk to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, you guys. Big fans.
All right, anytime, man. We'll talk to you again.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, Matt, he's a very nice dude. And you wonder, what is it like to go through life? 6'5", 240, 4% body fat, 84. Like, what is that like? Obviously, he's worked for it. You're an athlete that you don't just wake up like that. You have to keep yourself in shape. But what is life like when you're built like that?
Oh, dude, he's got stuff thrown at him. Stuff that people like, certain people.
I'll bet you girls would like him more than me.
Yeah, and me, Jimmy. Unless they got to know my personality because I'm so affable.
Yes, you are.
I'm fucking around. Jimmy, you know what? I don't mind being a 5'6" gentleman, even though women, listen, I have a beautiful wife, but I'm saying like if I was to, because the only thing I don't like about my height is crowds. I don't like being at a club or a bar.
Yeah.
And you're in a crowd and you're like, I got to panic. You can't
People's
see
penis is bumping into your ear.
Well, now you're just being rude because that was not designed to be.
I apologize. Yes.
Okay. I'm over it. But my thing is, it's not good in crowds.
No, not at all. Sure.
You know? But from the waist down, your mind, get you right down. Listen, Jimmy, don't stop me now. What else do we got?
That's it. I mean,
Fuck, it went fast.
It went very fast. Two great interview subjects. Thank you to Holly Holm and thank you, of course, to Chase DeMoor. Let's plug the fights this Saturday, Matt, in San Antonio. I don't know if it's sold out if you're down there. Holly against Yana Santos, formerly Yana Kunitskaya. Number 3 against number 6, which is a great fight. And, of course, the main event is Sanhagen against Vera, and that is a great fight. And it starts, hold on, let me just get the start time, buddy. It's going to start March 25th. It starts at 4 o'clock are the prelims. Main card starts at 7 o'clock, so don't get all fucked up and tune in very late. And let's plug our social media. We want you to send us questions, UFC Unfiltered, Twitter, Instagram, and Matt and I will answer your questions to the best of our ability. We will see. Hopefully.
Matt Serra BJJ on Instagram. Is that what you were saying? You're plugging our Instagrams?
I know. I mean, for the show for UFC Unfiltered, but Matt Serra BJJ if you want to go and work out jiu-jitsu.
Don't ask me.
And if you're in the city tonight, performing at the Fat Black Pussycat, that usually sells out. So if you want to come by and see me do an hour of material, feel free. And I'm heading to New Jersey, May 19th, May 20th for the Wellmont Theater. And Matt, maybe you can come for that one since you missed the other one.
Excuse me, I didn't hit the cough button. Jimmy.
Yes, buddy.
I realize, I'm going to try to make that.
Yeah, I'll send you a limo.
Well, I'll definitely make, please, I will.
Okay.
Jimmy, I noticed we're going to close the show, and I figure I'll sing us out because I have not sung the whole episode, and I know you get a little cranky when you don't hear my voice. So
I do.
I was thinking about last week when I was cornering Marab.
Yep.
And I'll just sing us out. Hang up when you want. All right.
No, hold on a second. I am actually not going to.
A plug? You switching?
No, I'm not going to sign out. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. About Marab and his fight. Ready? Oh, what a fight! Mid-March back in 23. Longo, John Wood, Aljo, and me. Anyway, listen, what a great fight. I just wanted to touch base.
Somebody went in and messed around with my name. That's not appropriate. I don't like that they.
Your name is not Boo, you stink. It's Jimmy. Jimmy, if I fucking pass out, Jimmy, no singing next show, okay?
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you Monday.
I love you.
All right, I love you,
Bye.
Pat.
You got me, Jimmy.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.